Hello and welcome back to Hyperplay. AyaNeo have just launched a sub-brand called KONKR, which aims to be budget-friendly. We will see. Their very first offering is the Android Pocket Fit device. This bears more than a passing resemblance to an AyaNeo 2, and that is a good thing in our view. That always looked sleek and sexy. Now, the KONKR Pocket Fit sports a 6-inch 1080p screen with 144Hz refresh rate, more of which on that soon. Dual Hall effect joysticks, small but perfectly formed, and a bezel-less screen, all housed in an all-glass front panel. All very lovely, Hyperplay man, you may say, but there's two things we need to know: the chipset and the price. Well, so far as the chipset goes, as you may have seen on our thumbnail, it's going to sport the whopping Snapdragon G3 Gen 3, an absolute powerhouse of a chipset, and a processor most recently seen in the AyaNeo Pocket S2, which wowed reviewers such as TechDweeb with its amazing benchmarks. Which is to say that the Snapdragon G3 Gen 3 that will be in the KONKR Pocket Fit is more powerful than the Odin 2s, or the Odin 2 Portals, Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, and even more powerful than the Snapdragon G3X Gen 2, found in AyaNeo's very own flagship Pocket Evo. So in summary, the Snapdragon G3 Gen 3 will play just about anything you throw at it, provided there is good emulator compatibility across the board. And that is where we have a slight concern, because whilst the G3 Gen 3 is fantastically powerful, that raises two concerns. The first is the aforementioned compatibility. Are the emulators ready for such a new powerful chip? But also, what about the price? Yes, this is supposed to be budget friendly, but if it's sporting a G3 Gen 3 chipset, and with AyaNeo's previous reputation of being ultra premium, let's say, when it comes to their overpricing, then we are concerned about where the price for the admittedly delightful looking Pocket Fit will land. It needs to come in at $250 or less. Any more than $250, it's straying far too close to Odin 2 Portal territory, which has a bigger screen and an OLED screen. Remember, this one has a 1080p LCD screen, which does admittedly look lovely, but a lot of people prefer OLED and will prefer that extra inch of panel goodness. And if it's at $250, it's going to compete nicely. Going to compete nicely in that market space, because the Retroid Pocket 5 comes in at $220, and we can understand people wanting to spend a bit more for the bonus ergonomics that's on offer here with the KONKR Pocket Fit. Very similar stylings on the panel, and you're going to get a slightly bigger screen than the Retroid Pocket 5's 5.5 incher, and that is why its specs, in terms of its screen, fit very nicely between the RP5 and the Odin 2 Portal. It's that chipset which worries us because worries us so much, can hardly get the words out, because it could mean an inflation in price that would mean that, the KONKR might not be worth it if it is around $300, because people will say, just get a Portal instead. That is a very well established device in the market, the Portal. It's got the 8 Gen 2, which has great compatibility, yes, not so strong as the G3 Gen 3 Snapdragon, but better compatibility. And you really need all that extra power? A lot will come down to the price. No doubt there will be 3 different SKUs, 8 gigs of RAM, 12 and 16. The price has not been announced, and we have it on good authority from Arthur himself, Mr. Kinky Atoms here, that it will not be unveiled today. That price needs to be $250 for the 8 gig model. But here's the box. That's what it's going to look like. Very sleek and sexy. They do a fine job with their marketing materials, I must say, AyaNeo. Sometimes the build quality of the devices does not stand up to rigorous testing. We've lost count of the number of times we've heard about an AyaNeo device losing its power completely, no matter what you do, after a couple of years, and then refusing to be turned on, as it were. Sorry, bit of a segue from Kinky Atoms there. Here's proof of the 144Hz screen shown today by Arthur Zhang, the front of house man for AyaNeo, or should we say back of the basement, because he's been holed up in this basement for the last couple of days seemingly, endlessly wittering on about new products, of which there are many, and KONKR is the one that piques our interest the most. Will it be a good fit for you? Stay tuned to Hyperplay and we'll keep you up to date. All the best. Bye bye.